Channel 5 Network. This is MorningLine with Nick Beres.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. I am Nick Beres. It is Monday, and I just took a sip of this coffee. I'm not drinking coffee so much because I need the caffeine or love the flavor of this coffee. It's because it's warm. This morning when I drove in, I got out to hop in the car. It was 17 degrees. Unseasonably cool for November, is it not? Supposedly it's supposed to get nicer later today, but boy, this weekend and today so far starting off cold, so don't head out. Just join us on the big show today. On this Monday, we're doing something we haven't done for a while. We're doing Open Phones Monday, all right? So those of you who are new to the program maybe, and we get new viewers all the time, regulars will know, this is Open Phones. We're going to put the phone number up there, 737-7587. I'll kind of spend a moment here in a second kind of setting the table for you with some of the top news stories we saw from this morning or over the weekend or just recently. And then you're invited to call in and sound off on whatever you'd like. You can comment on one of those stories if you'd like to touch bases with us on something that I didn't mention but is important to you and you'd like to share it. Love to hear from you. The Open Phones is your open forum and a chance to not only talk to me, ask a question, but put something out there for the rest of our many, many viewers on this show. So please, it's contingent on some of you calling in. Sometimes on a morning like this, when we drop it on you, all of a sudden, we don't get a ton of calls, but I've got the phone right here. And so if you choose to call in, 737-7587, please do, and we'll get it going. And we already have someone calling in right now. Eric, just wait a second. I haven't set the table yet. I love it that people are already calling in, but I'm going to take all the calls we possibly can. Eric, before I get to you, I want to throw one thing out here. And I know Eric, who's called into this program before, is a very astute sports fan. I'm not sure what he's going to talk about, but let me throw a couple things out there real quick. This one. University of Tennessee football, and Eric may comment on this. That was one of the items I was going to touch on. I have more beyond that. But if you're a Vol fan, and I know we've got a lot of fans of various sports here in Nashville, Vandy's having a pretty good year. Good for Vandy. Big win this past weekend, beating Florida. Vandy beating Florida. That just sounds weird, but they did. Congrats to them. TSU, other schools here locally, but Tennessee was ranked number 1 at one point in the college football playoff. They went to South Carolina and just got beaten badly. That season for them, playing in the championship, probably over. Yes, not probably, is. They're not going to be one of the Final Four. They lose their star quarterback. I feel horrible for Hendon Hooker, who tore his knee up. And, you know, they had a chance at a Heisman at one point in a pro career. But there have been some scuttlebutt about what led to this defensive breakdown against South Carolina. None of it's been confirmed, but there were some questions about some squabbles behind the scenes. And here's the Tennessee game here that maybe led to some unrest in the locker room that maybe contributed to this loss. We'll see if we learn more about that today. But either way, folks, I'm upset about it. I'm sorry to see Tennessee lose, but I'll say this. It's been a great season. If you had told me at the beginning of the year, going into the Vandy game, Tennessee would be 9-2 and would have beaten LSU, Florida, and Alabama, I said, I'll take it. I'll take it. So what do you think? Throw that out there, but we'll talk more. Eric called, so I'm going to get his call real quick. The phone lines are open, so jump in. I want to talk to all of you. Eric, I didn't know if you were going to talk about Tennessee football, but I thought I'd just throw that out there real first. How are you doing?
I'm hanging in, Nick. First of all, I want to wish you and your family and everybody out there a very wonderful, safe, and happy Thanksgiving holiday.
Thank you. Thank you. You too.
A couple of things. One thing, Nick, I was just going to give you an update on how I'm doing real quickly.
Yeah.
I'm still doing physical therapy. I thought I was going to be through with that, hopefully, but apparently my physical therapist definitely still tells me I need to come, and he says I have to be careful because if I'm not careful, I could dislocate my hip. So the weird thing is my left hip was the worst hip. My right hip was not as bad, but I've been going to physical therapy longer. I've been doing that for almost 4 months, where when I was doing the work on my other hip, I was basically doing stretching exercises and stuff laying on my back and all that type of stuff. This one, I'm working more weights, and it's a lot more painful, so they're really, really pushing me and stuff.
Which hip did you have replacement surgery on?
The right one. When I did it the last year, I had to have pins and screws put in because it was bone on bone. This one, they just put in dissolvable sutures, and they shaved the bone. But still, when I do my exercises, I still feel like stiffness, whether I do it at home on my own or at the physical therapy place. and if I'm sitting down too long, I'll feel stiffness in my hip, but also feel pain in my right knee. And most of that happens when I'm laying in bed trying to sleep. But they said that's to be expected. So I don't know if that's part of a physical therapy or it's just the way it is.
But you got to stick with it. Don't they say, though, you have to be up and do it. If you don't do the we've done stories on people that have hip replacement or knee replacement, and it hurts so they don't do anything. And if that happens, it just deteriorates and does no good. You have to work it, right?
Yeah. No, you're right, Nick. And one of the weird thing is, a therapist noticed it. I never noticed it when I stood straight. I was able to keep my left leg straight, but I can't keep my right leg straight because it bends at the knee. So I don't know if that's just overcompensation or what the deal is. But anyway, Nick, a couple of things, and then I'll get off.
Sure.
I know one other thing you haven't talked about yet, and I'm just going to go there, was the whole Todd Downing thing with the DUI that he got caught for. And that's just so unfortunate. That's probably his best offensive play call game of the year. And then you have this happen, and it's kind of ironic because I saw now where you're getting ready to do stories where Phil Williams reporting about DUI and how many cases are not prosecuted. It's just kind of ironic that happens just as this is getting ready to happen. And I'm sure a lot more people do stuff like that than just Todd Downing, but it's just an unfortunate situation.
Well, what do you think
happened with him?
What do you think will happen? Just so folks who maybe don't know this, Todd Downing is the offensive coordinator for the Titans, all right? He called the plays. He's taken a lot of criticism this season, unfairly, I think, for some of the play calling, but he called a masterful game, in my opinion. I think you'd agree with me, Eric, in this game where they just won at Green Bay. Just a fantastic game. He comes back and is stopped for DUI. I think it was in Williamson County. Didn't hit anyone. Thank goodness no one was hurt, but that's a serious situation. So does the NFL look at that? I mean, he faces the criminal side of things for being stopped. How do you view it? Did the Titans do something about it? Will the NFL, will he be calling the game next week against Cincinnati?
I don't know, guys, Nick, and I'll tell you what, they said the possible punishment is at least, I think, something like a 3-game suspension, so I definitely think he will be punished. Not going to say nothing will happen. I don't know if the Titans will be proactive, do something, or if it will be the NFL itself, but something definitely is going to happen. Okay. Because there have been issues about alcohol on the planes, and also there was another incident, I guess it was when the Eagles beat the Washington team last Monday night, where Taylor Heineke and some other players, I guess, had alcohol on the plane, because there was something came out that, people adults who want to drink, they've got the right to do that, but of course you don't want to get involved in that too much because it could have been disastrous. Because I, of course, remember the story of Andy Reid's son, Britt Reid, where he was involved, where he seriously hurt a girl, and now he's spending 3 years in prison because of that.
And who was and the wide receiver for the Raiders?
Was it Henry Ruggs?
Yeah, Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs, it was a horrible thing where a woman was killed. So the NFL takes this stuff seriously, and they have to. If he has a 3-game suspension, and we don't know, you can understand why they may have had a drink and celebrated it when and where we don't know how, and that's fine if you choose to do that, but you don't get behind the wheel of a car. You just don't. And that's what Mike Vrabel said. He said, look, we have a commitment to the community, and this is not good.
Well, Nick, I'll get off and let you call us. You take care and have a great rest of the day, and happy Thanksgiving to you.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, and you take care of yourself, Eric. I appreciate hearing your updates. Yes, I don't know if you had seen that, but it was 2:30 in the morning after they returned back, probably on the plane overnight from Green Bay, Wisconsin, and that was when he was driving home, I guess, to Williamson County and got pulled over. So DUI, and he'll face the music on that. Thankfully, no one was injured in this, but as we all know how serious something like this can be, and drinking and driving is a very serious situation. He's probably going to be suspended a few games. It's costing him some checks, and he'll also face some criminal prosecution. Listen, we'll take a break. We've got some other calls on hold if you're there. The lines are open. When we come back, I'll do a better job of setting some more of these issues for you to talk about. It's not all just sports, folks. We'll get into that when we come back on Open Phones Monday. Call us, 737-7587. What's on your mind right after this?